Greetings metalheads, welcome back to another edition of the Friday 13th Metal YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about a new release by the band Krisiun, who released a new album on Century Media called Mortem Solis. This album is going to be released on the 29th of July on Century Media Records. Now the band was formed back in 1990 by brothers Moses and Max Colaseni. Moses handles the guitars, whereas brother Max handles the drums, along with bassist and vocalist Alex Camargo. Now the band released two demos. The first one came out in 1991, which is entitled Evil Age, and the second demo, Curse of the Evil One, in 1992. And the band released an EP in 1993, which is entitled Unmerciful Order, and the band got a record deal with Dynamo Records based in Brazil. Now this band, being from Brazil, being a thrash death metal band, released their debut album back in 1995 called Black Force Dominion, and in 1998 released their second album, Apocalyptic Revolution. Now with the success of two albums on Dynamo Records, the word was getting out around Brazil and mainland Europe, so the band was soon signed up to Century Media Records back in 1999. Now being a thrash death metal band from Brazil, the band's influences were Creator, Sodom, Morbid Angel and Slayer, and you can definitely hear these influences in the band's music. Now it's good to see that this band have been going so long and kept the original lineup of three members, which is fantastic. Now the band have had some fantastic tours here in Europe. They've played with the bands such as Unleashed, Hatesphere, Immolation and Grave, which are all fantastic death metal bands. And the band had a lot of success, and in 2010 they had managed to tour America with Nile and Immolation, which was a fantastic tour for the band, giving them a lot of success and more sales. It's amazing that this band have recorded 12 albums. Like the albums I've just mentioned to you, they've also recorded Conquerors of the Armageddon, Ageless Venomous, Works of Carnage, Bloodshed, Assassination, Southern Storm, The Great Execution, Forged by Fury, Scariest of the Unthroned, and like I said, Immortal Solace is about to be released on Century Media Records in the next few days. Now, if I listen to the band's new album, which I am doing at the moment, there's two bands that spring to mind, Deicide and Vader. So these two bands combining, their music sounds really fantastic. This band are really heavy, so you really need to check them out. There's some good riffing, plenty of blast beats, so if you're a drummer and you like blast beats, this is an album for you. Now this album contains 11 tracks. So I'm going to tell you what the song titles are for the new album. So we've got the first song, is called Sworn Enemies. Then we have Serpent Messiah, Swords into Flesh, Necromonical, Tomb of the Nameless, Dawn's Sun Carnage, Temple of the Abattoir, Blood Red Hammer, An Angel's Burn, Warn God, and Death of the Sun, which is a bonus track. So I've just listened to the first song now, which is called Sworn Enemies, and that really does have a vibe of Vader. Now I don't know what you guys think of Vader. I actually think they're one of the best death metal bands to come out of Poland. In fact, I think they are the best. And for a three-piece band, this band are fantastic. They really do put some powerful music out. I'd love to see them live, to see if they could pull it off live. I presume they can do, and I guess you guys out there have seen them live, so you'll probably know how good they are live. For me, I've not seen them yet, but I'll be interested to see how good they are live. Now, there's a couple of songs on this album that were co-wrote by Jed Simon, who was in Strapping Young Lads, and the songs that he co-wrote were Serpents Messiah, Sworn Enemies, Necromonical, and As Angels Burn. This new album was recorded at the Family Mob Studios in Brazil, and the production is fantastic. Now, two songs on the album was recorded by Andy Carlson, or as we all know is with Holy Moses. And the two songs that Andy produced were Enthroned or Conquerors of Armageddon. And the engineering was done by Hugo Silva, who's worked with Sepultura, Nervosa, who handled the engineering on the album. Now, the album took 22 days to record and mix and master. This was done by the head of Mark Lewis, who's been involved with Nile and Monstrosity in Nashville, Tennessee. Now, I've just had a quick listen to the second song, which is called Serpents Messiah. This reminds me of a little bit of Malevolent Creation and Nile. Now, this song has plenty of blast beats. It's a really brutal song. It's really well put together. Now, the thing I like about death metal is not so much the fast and blast beats that these bands do. It's more the chugginess, the heaviness when they do slow down. That really does it for me. I think there's some fantastic riffing when the band really pull together. Now, the next song, Swords into Flesh, that kind of reminds me of Nile, Malevolent Creation and Vader, all three fantastic death metal bands that have been around for many years. So if you like those three bands, you're really going to like this song. It's a brutal kick-ass song. Now the next song, Neconomical, is a fantastic song. It's more slower, but it's got a really heavy chuggy riff in, and it really does fit well on the album. Kind of breaks the album up from it all being blast beats or really fast. This is a slower song, but it's still a heavy song, really well worth checking out. And towards the middle part of the song, it actually does pick up speed. You know, it gets back to the typical death metal, heavy drumming, blast beats. It's a great song anyway. Like I said at the beginning, it starts off mid-pace, chuggy, but it builds up towards the mid part and towards the end. Now the next song, Tomb of the Nameless, is kind of cross between Deicide and Vader. Like I said before, two fantastic bands. It's got the speed of those two bands and the heaviness and brutality. Now the next one is called Dawn Sun Carnage. This is an intro and it kind of reminds me of Nile. Very Middle Eastern sounding. Pretty interesting. It's got a bit of Slayer guitar in the background, something like Helloweight, so it's kind of cross between Nile and Helloweights by Slayer. Next up is Temple of the Abattoir. This kind of reminds me of Morbid Angel meets Vader and maybe a little bit of Immolation. Like I said, it's a very brutal album. Takes no prisoners. It's definitely a heavy, brutal death metal album. Next we've got War Blood Hammer. This is a really brutal song. Like I say, it's got all those influences I've been told you about already, so it expects them to be brutal. It's definitely not for the faint-hearted, this album. It's a fantastic, brutal album. And the next song is As Angels Burn. This is definitely a song for fans of Vader. It's definitely in your face, Vader sort of stuff. Kind of reminds me of the album Welcome to the Morbid Reich. Now the last two songs of the album are Worn God and Death of the Sun. These are two really good songs, like I said, brutal heavy stuff. It's a really good album, fantastic production, some great songs. And if you're a fan of death metal, which is brutal, this is an album for you. So check this album out. The band is Krisiun and the album is called Mortem Solis. It's a fantastic album released on the 29th of July 2022 on Century Media Records. Thanks for watching this review, and there's going to be a link in the description for you to check out a song from the album. Stay metal, metalheads. Thanks for watching.